Hi, hello. It's Tuesday, 星期二係啦 ，and so I again have a long day. 我繼續有好長啦，今日so we start early and then 5-hour Spanish class。咁我哋又係好早開始啦，5個鐘頭嘅西班牙文堂啦。After that, had a quick lunch and then we have cooking class and then dancing class。咁我跟住完咗之後食晏啦，咁然後就有烹飪班同埋有跳舞班。So, but it's like so much fun， 係超好玩啦咁樣。And then I still have homework， 咁我仲有功課未做啦。But I came home, I just want to chill. Like I had dinner. I bought some barbecue sticks on the street, and then I came home and eat them with the rice that I've cooked before. 咁我喺街買咗啲串燒啦，跟住我翻嚟就因為我煮多咗飯，即係其實我通常煮幾日嘅飯，咁我就即係係啦，微波爐叮翻熱啲飯同埋個串燒食咁樣樣咯。So and I had dinner, and then I was just kind of chilling, and then like now I'm reading, and then afterwards I will go back to do my homework. 咁我而家讀書啦，讀完之後咁我就翻去做功課啦咁樣。So let's begin reading. 咁我哋讀咗書先。Read to Resist Day 207。當閱讀也是抗爭第207日。A Concise History of Hong Kong by John Mark Carroll。香港簡史從殖民地到特別行政區，著者高馬可，譯者林立偉。The earliest of these Chinese voluntary organizations was the Manmo Temple, founded in 1847 by Lua Qi and Lama Choi, whom we met in Chapter 1. Although its ostensible purpose was to worship the gods of literature and war and to observe religious festivals, the temple served other important functions. It soon became the main social center for Hong Kong's Chinese population, regardless of their regional or occupational affiliations. The temple also evolved into the self-managed, informal government of the Chinese community, with the merchants electing a committee to deliberate disputes. Thus, between the Manmo Temple and the smaller neighborhood committees, the Chinese community soon developed mechanisms for managing its own affairs. Although the European community often eyed the temple suspiciously for clandestinely controlling native affairs, the colonial government was happy with the arrangement since it fit with the government's policy of ruling the Chinese on the cheap. 這些華人民間組織中最早的是1847年由盧亞貴和譚亞才，我們在第1章已經談過他倆創立的文武廟。這座供奉文昌帝君和關武帝君的廟宇，表面上是舉行宗教祭祀的場所，但它還發揮其他重要功能。不久，香港華人不分鄉籍和行業，都視文武廟為主要的公共事務中心。這座廟也發展為華人社會的非正式自治政府，設有由商人推舉的直理會仲裁糾紛。因此，靠着文武廟與小型的街坊會，華人不久就發展出管理自身事務的機制。雖然歐籍人常以猜疑眼光來看文武廟，認為它秘密控制土著事務，但殖民地政府則以樂觀其成的態度看待這種安排。因為它符合政府不花錢治理華民的如意算盤。The establishment of the District Watch Force in 1866 enabled the leaders of the Chinese business community to deal with the colonial government's inability to control crime. One of the defining themes of colonial rhetoric was that colonialism ensured peace and order, but early Hong Kong was riddled with crime and piracy. Chinese and European merchants frequently complained about the inefficiency and corruption of the police force, composed mainly of Indians and discharged European sailors. Both the European and Chinese business communities learned to rely on Chinese guards, watchmen, and strict detectives for security. In early 1866, amid rumors that Chinese in Canton planned to burn and loot Hong Kong, several neighborhood committee leaders, including Tam and prominent merchant and landowner Ho Ah-sik, asked Governor Richard MacDonald for permission to form a group of guards and watchmen to protect their property. As the group was to be funded completely by the Chinese community, the government saw the establishment of the District Watch Force as evidence of the growth of civic duty among the wealthier Chinese. 1866年，團防拱成立。 令華商領袖可以處理殖民地政府無力遏止罪案的問題。殖民主義宣傳的重要主題之一是殖民統治可以令治安得到保障，但開埠初期的香港充斥罪案和海盜活動。當時的警隊主要是由印度人和被解僱的歐籍水手組成。華洋商人都一再投訴警察無能和貪污，洋商和華商都需依賴華人守衛、更練和街勇來維持治安。在1866年初，有謠言指廣州的中國人計劃火燒和劫掠香港。幾個街坊公所領袖，包括譚亞財和殷商地主何亞石，要求港督麥當勞 Richard McDonald 准許成立一隊由守衛和更練組成的團體，以保護他們的財產。這團體完全由華人出資成立，在政府眼中，團防局的成立顯示負有華人的公民責任日漸高漲。So this is the end of today's reading。咁我哋今日就讀到呢度啦。It talks about like the early corruption of the police force here, but mainly composed by Indian and also sailors who were being laid off or fired。咁呢度就講到即係最早期嘅警隊嘅貪污嘅事情啦。咁但係當時就係即係我阿嫲嗰代叫嘅大頭綠衣咁樣樣啦，即係可能係呢度未提到有石安教，不過其實係即係就係印度籍嘅警察啦，同埋咧呢一個即係歐籍即係俾人炒魷魚嗰啲水手啦咁樣樣。And then like in the early police force actually, like Chinese were always, even though when they started to use Chinese in the police force, they started to employ Chinese in the police force, they were always at the lowest kind of like class and level。咁之後其實咧可能係好耐之後先至開始會請華人去做警察啦。咁一路以嚟其實即係香港警隊即係殖民地嘅時候，最初咧係全部都係喺印度過嚟啦，同埋就係頭先有講即係啲即係水手嗰啲啦咁樣同埋另一啲咧就會係高官咧就會係即係俾翻英國佬做啊咁樣樣。So when the Chinese were finally being introduced into the police force, they were still sort of like just taking on the lowest kind of like officer roles or not really having any power. But then like, it's amazing how this sort of corruption would still continue to go on and pass on to these Chinese police officers later on。咁最早期嘅華人警察咧，其實佢哋都係做啲最低級嘅職務嘅，咁樣冇權冇剩嘅咁。但係好有趣嘅嘢就係咧，之後即係變成就算係即係華人之後咧，有一樣嘢留低咗就係貪污呢樣嘢一路都流傳落嚟啦咁樣樣。So it's almost like the entire history of Hong Kong police force was never a trustworthy disciplinary law enforcers, you know。咁所以其實咧警察呢樣嘢似乎係即係由開埠以嚟一路咧都唔係我哋香港人係覺得信得過、靠得住嘅一個紀律部隊嚟嘅咁樣樣。So in the beginning, then what we have just read tonight was that the Chinese community, the wealthier Chinese community, would sort of like contribute into helping with the not only just the management of like Chinese affairs, but also like putting into resources in this neighborhood watch team, which were all composed by Chinese。咁就好有趣嘅就係即係開始嘅時候，其實就係啲有錢嘅華人就會係去將佢哋嘅錢捐出嚟，或者即係係啦去資助去幫手管理翻華人嘅事務啦咁樣，同埋就係即係成立呢個團防隊咁，即係就係即係好似我哋再點啊70-80年代互助委員會之類咁樣嘅東西，即係係啦，即係幫手就係去巡更啊，即係佢哋叫更練同埋街勇咁樣樣啦咁。 So it's interesting to see like the changes of this too, you know, like who is in charge of security on the street, right? 咁即係到底邊個係負責保安，邊個係治安咧？咁樣樣。And then I would be interested to see like later on when they first introduced Chinese into the police force, would these people from the neighborhood watch actually were recruited？ 咁我就好想知即係到佢哋即係警隊會即係招收呢個華人嘅時候，係咪就係請呢啲街用或者呢啲更練嘅人去做嘅咧？咁樣樣。If so, then it would be really really interesting, right？ 咁如果係嘅話，就真係超級有趣啦。咁即係 so the development of it, like just to know or to acknowledge that the humanity of like once people got into this position of power, then they will become corrupted。咁即係係啦，一變成有權力嘅話就會腐化咁樣，權力令人腐化咁，可能就係、如果真係即係呢班人佢哋係後嚟會成為警隊嘅一份子嘅時候，咁就會即係充分證明咗權力令人腐化呢件事啦。So anyway, this is it for today. The reading 咁啊，今日讀書讀到呢度啦。咁this afternoon I've learned to make this very typical dish from Cartagena in this region。咁啊，今日晏晝上烹飪班啦，咁就教咧整咗一個即係呢度好地道嘅菜式啦。So it's kind of like a soup， 佢係一個湯嚟嘅咁 ，but it's like a soup of cheese。咁佢但係其實就係一個芝士湯啦咁。So it sounds very weird，right？ 咁聽落好似好奇怪咁樣樣啦。It's actually it was made with yam。佢其實係好似一個芋頭咁樣嘅湯嚟嘅，或者似嗰啲角多啲，我諗係即係粉角咁樣嘅東西啦咁。So it's like a large thing with the skin on that and then there is like this kind of secretion, this kind of slimy and then it would makes you itch。咁其實係我哋叫鹹芋咁樣樣，即係咧其實佢都係咁大嚿嘅咁，啡色嘅皮啦，同埋咧佢會有嗰啲即係黐粒粒嗰啲汁嘅，咁會鹹嘅係咁樣。But it's like white inside, the meat is white。咁但係佢入邊嗰個肉咧全部係白色嘅，白雪雪嘅咁樣樣咯。So the main kind of body of the soup is made with this yam。咁所以其實主要就係呢個yam 啦，佢哋即係係啦，英文係咁，即係唔知係角啦定係芋啦咁樣嘅東西啦咁。So you cut it up and then you put it in the water。咁你就煲滾咗水，掉晒佢哋落去啦 ，until like it is really soft。咁就煲到佢腍晒、熟晒啦咁。And then you sort of chop up like onions, spring onions and garlic, a lot of garlic。咁跟住咧你就係咁喺度中勁多蒜泥啦，跟住切幾個洋葱啦，切葱啦，切晒佢啦咁。And then you saute these like the garlic, the onion, the spring onion。咁然後就即係攞個油鑊咁，然後就爆香晒啲蒜頭啊、葱啊、洋葱啊咁樣樣啦。So when the yam is done， 咁然後即係嗰個角即係熟咗啦，咁樣腍晒啦咁樣樣。Then you throw everything into it， 咁你就掉埋啲蒜頭啊、洋葱啊，佢哋嗰啲係炒香咗嗰啲嘢掉晒落去啦。咁要 mix it and then if you like you can blend them。咁如果你中意，你可以揾個姐機即係攪勻佢啦，即係咁樣樣，即係打爛晒佢啦咁樣樣。But we didn't today， 咁但係我哋今日係冇㗎。So this is already the soup, right？ 然後最尾咧 at the end you would add the cheese。咁我哋加即係嗰個芝士啦咁。The cheese here is like it's called queso costeño。咁喺呢度佢哋嗰個芝士咧就係一個即係佢哋叫做沿岸芝士咁樣樣啦。It's quite solid actually. It's kind of like a paneer from India。佢都幾實淨嘅，有啲似印度嗰啲 paneer 嗰啲芝士啦，即係啦咁樣樣。So it's quite like it's also kind of like a tofu， 都幾似一嚿豆腐啦。But it tastes like cheese, okay? Like it's just really white and it's like a brick. It's kind of hard。咁佢係 well it's like it's in the middle. It's not soft, it's not hard, but yeah. So it's kind of like with a texture。咁佢又唔係真係硬，佢又唔好似 not hard like cheddar，you know， 佢又唔係即係好似車打芝士咁硬嘅咁樣樣 ，but it's also not soft like mozzarella。咁但係又唔係好似去到意大利嗰個 mozzarella 芝士咁腍啤啤咁，so sort of in between， 咁就係即係呢兩種質感嘅中間啦咁樣樣。So you also cube them， 咁你係切到一粒粒咁樣樣啦。At the end of the soup， 咁去到即係個湯最尾嘅時候 ，that you throw them into the soup， 咁你又掉晒落個湯裡面啦咁。Then you know just boil it for a while， 咁然後再滾多陣咧 ，then you can eat the soup， 咁你就可以係啦飲湯啦咁樣樣。They actually serve it with like a bit of rice， 咁佢哋其實係跟飯，佢哋送飯食咁樣樣嘅。And it was so good， 係超好食，超好食。It is something that if I go into a restaurant, I might not order it, you know, like 即係如果我自己去餐廳，可能我未必會叫咯。咁 but this is so good， 但係即係今日咁大家試咗就真係超開心啦咁樣樣。So yeah, I'm very happy with the school， 我超級覺得揀咗呢間學校揀得好啱啦咁樣樣。And then after the cooking class, we also have a dancing class. This is the same thing for every Tuesday. 咁逢星期二都係咁噶啦，晏晝上完烹飪班之後就有跳舞班啦咁。So and then we just like learn a little bit of steps of like a different kind of dances here. 咁就係即係呢度本地即係地道佢哋比較流行嘅一啲舞步啦咁樣樣。The most popular one is called champetta。咁佢其中一個最流行即係呢度係即係最地道嘅一個舞步就叫做 champetta 咁樣樣啦咁。So it's a lot of like in the hips， 咁佢哋全部好多都喺個躉度嘅，係啦咁樣樣，咁係不停咁樣要唔係戳個躉咧，就係要扭個躉咁樣樣啦咁。So it's a lot of like popping the hips or you know just really like turning it and。It was so much fun， 咁係超好玩嘅咁樣樣咯。And we were dancing on the rooftop, so it was hot, but it's a lot of fun。咁我哋喺天台度跳啦，咁好細嘅啫其實，咁有啲熱啦又，咁但係就係超好玩咯咁。So yeah, and then after that I came home and now it's just like kind of like I still have to do my homework。咁係啦，咁我而家仲要繼續做功課嘅，咁所以 this is it for today and I'll see you again tomorrow。聽日再見，拜拜。